I think it goes without saying that the online in Smash Ultimate might just be the worst part of the game. Online playing in Smash has always had a bad track record, and to be frank, it seems intentional. Sakurai just doesn't care about online compatibility for Smash, and I assume he believes it should solely be a couch multiplayer game. He's never prioritized getting a functional online mode in these games. I will never understand why he or anyone at Nintendo neglects something as essential as online play in the 21st century. In his video about Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Sakurai specified that the Wii's online functionality was the main appeal of having a new Smash Bros. Game. While they intentionally simplified the gameplay to accommodate this feature, while also saying in the same breath that he personally doesn't feel Smash Bros. As a game should prioritize online. It makes no sense. The online in each Smash game is so poor in its features and optimization that even the most positive, bought-out, Kool-Aid drinking, child-grooming Nintendo YouTubers will admit it's subpar. It truly sounds like having online functionality was a mandate the team had to include to justify the game's AAA price tag and Nintendo Switch Online subscription, and never part of the game's vision, hence the fun in its own way comment. The fact that online functionality wasn't even prioritized in 2015, let alone up to 2021 with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, is just ridiculous. This is the same guy who complained about unstable performance when playtesting Smash Ultimate's DLC characters during the pandemic because he chose not to listen to complaints about online when he had the chance to. I say this because Sakurai absolutely listens to fans and creators alike. He willfully delivered in Smash Ultimate on all fronts except the online. With how detail-oriented he is as a developer, I imagine he was more focused on other aspects of the game, keeping the online as a lower priority. This is unfortunately no longer something you should be justifying. You are paying for an online subscription just to play the worst part of the game. What I want for the Super Smash Bros. Series is a game that can be played by as many people as possible. Because I like the series, I want to shamelessly talk about it to more people. Most of my friends nowadays are either busy or they live lives far away. A lot of kids today don't even go outside anymore and are socially stunted. They're growing up on their phones with AI, Family Guy compilations, Skibbity Sigma, fucking Galaxy Gas, Hawk to a Girl, and okay, maybe it's just the kids in my area. But the point is that Smash and other Nintendo games need to get with the times and have competent online functionality so that a majority of people can play their games. I probably should have started this video with what's wrong with the online. Smash Ultimate's online functionality uses delay-based netcode, which is a form of online netcode that will delay a user's input just so it syncs up with the game. For a long time, most fighting games used delay-based netcode until rollback netcode was introduced. Rollback netcode is a different implementation of online functionality that reads a user's inputs immediately, but for any lag spikes or other connection issues, rollback netcode will rewind the game to the most recent input that was read. You'll see all these Smash clones in other fighting games promote themselves with having rollback because they know Smash's online is the worst part of the game. Rollback netcode, however, is more costly and time intensive to develop than delay-based netcode, but Smash Bros. Is a big enough franchise where it warrants the highest end funding and research and development. This is the best-selling fighting game of all time, and the Nintendo Switch is top 3 best-selling games on the system. There is no excuse for Nintendo not to pump extra money into it. What we're left with is an unstable online feature that feels gutted and incomplete. You can't play Squad Strike, Smashdown, or Special Smash. You can't play any co-op features besides regular matches. The game will often lag or disconnect you entirely for some bullshit. People can intentionally lag spike the game. It's an overall miserable experience if you just want to play the game online. The online isn't helped by the Global Smash Power or GSP rank system either. Even Splatoon has a proper rank system. Smash for 3DS and Wii U at least had a casual and a competitive mode. Besides the GSP system being a completely backwards and nonsensical rank system, the biggest issue with it is that it's always enabled. You can't even play the game casually without being punished for it. Even in free-for-all matches with items, you have to place in the top 2 or else you're going to lose points and eventually get kicked out of Elite Smash if you lose a few games. If I want to play casually, why can't I just deactivate the GSP or have a for fun mode? What if I want to play the game like a competitive fighting game with no items and only stages with no hazards? Sometimes I still get paired up in free-for-all matches, or I get paired up with people using items. Or some people have slightly different rule sets than I do, which makes the gaming experience just infuriating. Elite Smash and Quick Play as a whole is legitimately worse than For Glory in Smash 4. I wish Elite Smash was just a separate mode so I don't get kicked out for winning a match and not having enough points. I should be able to gain points whenever a player disconnects from a match because that's a disqualification. I shouldn't be punished for playing the game. It's an overall miserable experience if you just want to play the game online. Now, I like Super Smash Bros. I don't know if you can tell. I like completing each game, except Smash 4, and I want to get every character into Elite Smash because I like getting a good handle on how every character plays. But playing through Elite Smash has to be one of the most miserable experience in any video game that's currently out there. There is no rant here. The online being as bad as it is, and Nintendo's lack of online support for their games and services is no longer acceptable and shouldn't be tolerated any longer. There are many examples of questionable decisions surrounding their games. Examples I believe inform what happened with Smash Ultimate's online. In fact, there are a variety of reasons why you shouldn't give your money to Nintendo. It all started back when Nintendo made it very clear to third-party developers on the NES that they can't develop on other platforms because Nintendo must have absolute control over the video game industry. They're convinced they pioneered the industry after saving it, with the toy, because they didn't have faith the NES would sell well as a video game system in North America. Their opinion on competition, piracy, and IP protection has been made abundantly clear since the 80s, when they defined video rental stores as commercial rape. Yes, words used by your beloved family-friendly Nintendo. They've always been like this. Even as far back as breaking through the games industry, their treatment of game genres such as RPGs was distasteful to audiences that loved the genre because they didn't think the entire JRPG genre had any value in the West. This came down to the xenophobic belief that Westerners wouldn't understand their appeal. As it turns out, they very much understand the appeal, since JRPGs went on to become a massively successful and influential genre in today's landscape. They have always been butting heads with rental stores, legal emulation, and fans just to, quote, protect their IPs as a means of control. The reason Nintendo is acting particularly shitty throughout the Switch generation is that no one is really competing with the Switch. You can credit Phil Spencer in saying we have to protect Nintendo or that they're a gem in the industry, but if no one challenges them, like with any multi-billion-dollar corporation, they will get a little bit too comfortable and go out of their way to bully and intimidate anyone that isn't them. The best and most nostalgic you have been with Nintendo was when they were competing with Sega with the SNES and Sony and Microsoft with the power of the GameCube. Since the Wii era, Nintendo held this intense soft power over the industry, meaning they're basically Big Brother. The Nintendo Wii was an instant success due to the practical use of motion controls using IR sensors built into the controller. This made someone who didn't understand sticks and buttons more accustomed to playing a game and having fun with games in that sorta kinda simulate real life activities. Then, once again, Nintendo got arrogant after the Wii sold 100+ million units and they thought they could once again innovate while at the same time keeping the Wii branding. Which brings us to the Wii U. While the Wii U was a failure, the Wii worked because it was something completely unprecedented while reusing GameCube assets. The Wii U, on the other hand, kept the Wii branding, all while Nintendo was struggling to develop HD titles for the first time, all while also having to manage its handheld division. Now you may think I'm stretching, but the root of their barbaric, immature, primal, idiotic business practices directly affects their IPs. Their motto is to make people smile when playing with the world and characters they create. Let's look at the bucket list of examples how they actively prevent you from enjoying their IPs.
Limited releases such as Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light is a trend Nintendo weirdly loves to follow. They don't usually follow industry trends, but they tried banking on re-releasing old Mario games at a time when classic titles are getting remade for new audiences to appreciate. These limited releases are fucking stupid, annoying, and predatory. They decided just to use the ROMs they hate so much just to sell it themselves like the scum of the fucking earth they are. They re-released the first Fire Emblem game for a limited time, even though that shit should have been on NSO to really set a precedent of how they will expand on their legacy content. But they don't care. They only follow trends when it's convenient for them, I guess. Nintendo is the only company that's willing to kill somebody for playing the original Super Mario Bros. On the computer as if it's directly sabotaging them. Or, you know, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, a game you can't buy anymore. This promise to kill off any emulation or game preservation and blatant disrespect to the entire industry at large is unreasonable, and I hope anyone within Nintendo that's perpetuating this practice leaves the games industry and gets publicly ostracized. This practice will die one day, but Nintendo would rather see their own company die and burn in hell than let people play their games. This is the same company that treats their communities like complete absolute fucking dog shit. There should be no defense for this powerful, multi-billion-dollar company to go out of its way to attack their most dedicated fans. And Smash Bros. Is the most notorious example of Nintendo egging its community. Except they don't have the balls to kill it off because they know how influential it is. They persistently attempt to sabotage the competitive scenes of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Smash 4, and Smash Ultimate since their releases, despite using pro Smash players to promote their games. We know Sakurai is watching and appearing at said tournaments. He himself admitted to designing Smash as a party game while still understanding the value of how players want to play their games. This is the same company that advertised Splatoon 2 having a prominent stage at a big esports event only to shut down a Splatoon tournament because the competitors sided with Smash fans. How is that not the most petty bullshit of all time? Nintendo hates their fans. They do it out of spite, and this confirms it. They don't actually care about Smash or Splatoon or even fucking ARMS from becoming esports. They only pay attention to these games because they're new releases. On an equally shitty note, Nintendo shut down the reverse engineered PC port of Super Mario 64. Reverse engineered means rebuilding the game from the ground up, which is not even in the same gray area compared to emulating a game. Did you know that emulation is legal if you buy a physical copy of the game? Instead of releasing the physical version people want to speedrun or remaking the game in general, they instead re-released the lamer Shindo Mario 64 without widescreen support. They don't care about the passionate fans that literally worship Mario 64, one of the most influential games ever made. Remember when Nintendo attacked streamers that were playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity when it released in their region due to differing time zones? It really seems like Japan is the only place that exists in the world according to Nintendo. Despite providing free promotion of this new game that came out, they actively hate them for it. They expect you to simply consume and buy the game because they're fucking Nintendo. They forget the fact they actually have to sell their games to people and that people like different things. I could watch a streamer play Hyrule Warriors and enjoy that stream, but later if I see Nintendo make a new Star Fox game or a new IP that's more to my liking, I'd probably get a Switch anyways. Sometimes I might buy a game I saw on a live stream. How do they not get it? They attack any and all mods of their existing games. We can't forget their terroristic takedowns of fan games such as Pokemon Uranium, The Legend of Zelda 30th Anniversary Remake, another Metroid 2 remake, Mario Battle Royale, and more have all been cease and desisted by Nintendo in some manic attempt of maintaining power and control. We didn't know who made Princess Peach's Showtime or Mario & Luigi Brothership until those games came out. In fact, Nintendo's treatment of anyone outside of their circle feels personal in the most passive-aggressive way possible. You can make the argument that how Nintendo can conducts their online infrastructure and IP protection protocols isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but I take issue when somebody personally slights me with no just cause. I feel like Nintendo deliberately spites its most dedicated fans and that they'd rather attack us for personal reasons over their own financial gain. If Nintendo left its fans and communities alone, it would not affect their shares, earnings, or profits whatsoever. Sure, it's good to establish legal protections and to enforce said protocols, but it feels like Nintendo made its protocols as an intimidation tactic to maintain absolute control like the fucking dystopian oligarch it is. It's fucking sickening to see the lengths Nintendo has gone through to take down any third-party or community-driven events. These measures include, but are not limited to, stalking, forever finding a pirate, shutting down charity streams, sending cease and desist letters to creators of fan games and mods, blacklisting protesters, trying to siphon content creator incomes through the Nintendo Partnership Program during the 3DS and Wii U era, bullying and intimidation, perpetuating a continuous losing battle against emulation and game preservation, selling defective products such as their Joy-Con controllers, removing music YouTube channels just to release a shitty music app 8 fucking years into the Switch's lifespan when they could have just uploaded their soundtracks to Spotify like every single other developer in the industry, charging real money for an online subscription that's virtually the same as it was while it's free. You know what? Fuck it. I'll say it. Nintendo's racist. I wouldn't be surprised if they held a deeply personal discontent for anyone who isn't in their circle based on their level of pettiness and disrespect they have towards many different outlets. If you want me to stop calling Nintendo fucking dumb or racist, Nintendo themselves would have to start treating their fans better and actually put their money where their mouth is by providing better services. I like their games, and they have some of the greatest IPs by some of the most highly respected developers, but if you can't keep your favorite company in check when necessary, then they're going to degrade over time. If you deviate in any way from Nintendo's vision of how the industry, games, and developers should be handled, you're a fucking enemy in their eyes. So why should I give this company any respects, let alone money, when they blatantly disrespect both their casual and hardcore fans on a regular basis? Whenever Nintendo pulls some anti-consumer bullshit or something nobody asked for, we have the same cesspool of annoyingly stupid fans always rushing to their defense in an attempt to morally justify their baffling decisions. But when you really think about it, there's no reason to like Nintendo as a company. I've lost faith in them for literal years now, and the only reason I still talk about them is because it's basically unavoidable as a fan. People in real life have gone to me for Nintendo news and insights. The worst fucking offense to Nintendo is us having fun with their games but not on their terms. Nintendo is not too big to fail, but they'd rather die to protect their own pride. Give us rollback netcode. Stop taking down community-driven projects and events. Don't trap users in an end-license user agreement with your shitty, overpriced controllers. If someone at Nintendo somehow watches this video, this pettiness against people who play your games has to stop. You don't even have to take my or anyone's insults personally if you realize that Nintendo is a company that's job is to make money. It's not my responsibility to make sure Nintendo is well fed and taken care of. I just want to enjoy Nintendo's content without a gun being pointed at my head. So just remember this: video games and gaming as a whole is a luxury. I, nor Nintendo, are not entitled to your time. And I'm clarifying all that this is my opinion based on Nintendo's actions over a long period of time. When it comes to Smash, we all know that Nintendo deliberately sabotages less than 1% of the actual player base for little reason, as if they need to spite this very small portion of the player base, and they get away with it because they're the Coca-Cola of video games, and I hate Coke. What were we talking about? Oh, right. Smash Ultimate's online is shockingly, horrifically bad. It's like if I talked to my abusive ex after years of going no contact, only to be reminded of how shitty of a person they are. If you see me defend the online of this game and support this getup for any reason, put me out of my fucking misery in order to make society a better space worth living. I refuse to be some fucking alternative punk-ass theater contrarian bitch that converts to Nintendo like a fucking religious cult. There is only one patch that adjusted the online, but it still uses peer-to-peer connection for a service you are paying for. The game itself was not designed around the lag. It's not fun in its own way. Please stop justifying your ignorance by dismissing real problems with the gameplay experience. For the next game, everyone wants the online to be good. If you say otherwise, you're wrong. Everyone will be happy to see a Smash Brothers game with competent netcode. More people would play the game. More people would buy Switch Online subscriptions. That's a good gateway for people to play competitively in a way that you, Nintendo, could actually control. Suffice to say, I think the online netcode and its features in Smash need to be reworked from scratch. But that leaves us with one more question.